Tēnā tātou katoa namahi nui, which means hello everybody joining us today and welcome. I'm Carmelle Riley, the founder of Manifestors Unite. I'm joining from Aotearoa, New Zealand, and I am here with Fran Arnet, who is joining us from Chiang Mai in Thailand. And Fran is a Heliocentric Galactic Astrologer. She specializes in planetary cycles and patterns, and she has a very special presentation to bring us deep into thought around what astrology means. Welcome, Fran. Thank you for joining us here today.
Hello, Carmelle, and everybody listening. I'm very, very thankful for this opportunity, and I hope everything will get the best out of it.
Oh, well, thank you. And if you are listening, there will be links below where you can find Fran's website and also her amazing teachings. She has a heap of information on her website, so there's lots of things to immerse yourself in. But today we're just really going to get into where we are at with astrology and your particular message that you bring through with astrology. Fran, do you want to kick us off with really, how did you actually come in to being a heliocentric galactic astrologer?
How I came to do that? Well, I think I will dive best into my little presentation because it's aligned with how I see the evolution of how things can go. Yeah, we go from a little step, we go to somewhere else. And so that's also my story within astrology.
Awesome. Please do. We've got the presentation for you here.
Okay. So what I find very interesting always is when we look at how our ancestors in all over the world have tried to also interpret the whole what they see, right? The natural world, including the moon and the stars and the patterns and how it unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it started from the first star that has ever been seen. And from then on, the fascination was there for many people.
Mm.
And while, let's say, astronomy does look at the actual physical movement of certain areas in the heavens or from stars or asterisms or even dark patches that are being seen, whereas astrology does kind of interpret these observations, right? So one side is the measurement and timekeeping in this sense, and on the other side there is this interpretation, this influence that wants to be read within those patterns and movements that we see.
Mm.
And for example, we have Platonic solids, and those have been described already by Plato, right? So very long time ago, like almost 3,000 years ago, that we have started with these more, let's say, physically recording of certain patterns that we have seen and that are reflected on the earth within material. So what we have out there kind of gave form or can be recognized in a similar way within matter. But of course, also our behavior. And the type of consciousness where we are at is within the belief systems and so on that does also reflect of how we center ourselves and what we see around us, in what type of connection we see it around us. So these here are the patterns that Johannes Kepler saw. This was an astronomer who tried to connect the distances between planets, and he did kind of put them into each other, and what he saw was very similar to the Platonic solids. What was already 1500 years before his time. And so we have those, let's say, forms, geometries, and we have something assigned to it. Some of those patterns we are still using today in astrology, right? And I have, for example, I have looked at planetary pairs, but I have, because I look at them in a heliocentric view, whereas back then everything was looked at in geocentric view, because we are located here and they had not had the technology to go further. And when you do that, when you see like the tetrahedron, is fire, and then you go to, let's say, and nowadays, Mercury Earth conjunctions, what geometry they form, we have again a lot of triangle, right? And just one triangle. And so
I was just going to say, it's really interesting that you say this. I did have a couple of questions, but it's interesting you say this, because a lot of times when people receive their helio chart, what they see is quite a shift and change. Particularly, you actually pretty much in most helio charts can see a shape that is, and in some cases those shapes are very star-like. For me, myself, I suddenly got a grand trine on the 29th degree, which really surprised me, and then didn't. But, you know, it's almost like the soul, because I think of heliocentric astrology as being the soul's progression, the soul consciousness chart. It's almost like this kind of, you can actually really see yourself as a particle of stardust that has come through into the human form because of these amazing shapes. So, you know, and you've pulled that up and illustrated that here really nicely with the relationship between Mercury and Earth. So yeah, I think that's it's a
this is just between Mercury and Earth, but for example, between Jupiter and Saturn, we also find a triangular relationship. So it's not just in one place, but we can see how things, they can evolve, or let's say they work together. I often call it the Russian doll principle. You have one thing within another. And we have coming from inside out, evolutionary spoken. When you look at the old paradigms, at first it was, at least in the now so-called Northern Hemisphere, we have had that thing about the flat Earth, right? So the thing is flat, and voila. And it took so long to go from there to round. And then when we were at round, it was thought that everything is rotating around the Earth and not the other way around. So these
still back there, just saying. And if you've got any flat earthers listening, but not graded that far in our consciousness. Not everybody.
Well, you know, in some ways you can say, if you look at everything as a projection, as a mirror, you can say, in some ways it may be flat. So, but not in physical appearance, let's say like that. So, but what I find interesting is also when you follow that movement, like what was the consciousness state, in different timelines, let's say like that, or time frames, you also see how long it took until like we actually talked about galaxies. Because the Milky Way was, for a very long time, was perceived as like the universe, and not just one galaxy within a whole with many, many other galaxies and whatever around. And that consciousness, that understanding of a galaxy and that there are many galaxies, that came much to my surprise. There was a discussion about 1917 to 1925, that there was this discussion about what it is. Is is there something outside of the Milky Way or not?
So this, friend, this is a big part of your practice, and I feel like I should get you to define heliocentric astrology for anyone who doesn't know, because a lot of people don't understand it. So I'm going to do that next. But is this part of your practice of astrology that you're really interested in the historical evolution of astrology itself and the relationship with astronomy and the relationship with human patterns of thinking and the cycles is that quite a big part of how
It's a part of it, because I think when we follow these are now like Mercury, Earth, or Earth, Jupiter. These are very, very rapidly going cycles, but there are others. When you go deeper into it, and then you look at other pairs, and you see suddenly, especially with outer planets, you see very, very long-term relationships, and so you can suddenly connect what is today to something that was X thousand years ago, and you can see the evolution that has taken place, and you can see what we do with it, and how expansive it is, and how it constantly goes on and on and on. But you can also see how it works with the idea that was created, and then you manifest it, and that's the relationship from like a sun and earth axis within a chart, and you can, when you look at it instead of from the earth as our local human viewpoint, right? We suddenly we can, but the sun is the center, so it's the core, and so I go to look at the whole thing from the core, but facing Earth, and so that there we always have that opposition, in a geocentric chart, the Earth would be opposite from where you have your sun placement, and the other way around. So I look at it from the sun, and suddenly you see that the Earth, or let's say the manifestation of whatever we create as a world, as a reflection, is only a little part of everything.
Yeah, and I love the context of our galaxy being 225 million years, and I mean, even the pole stars, 27,000 year cycle, there are so many pairs and cycles and patterns that we have no idea. If we start thinking about it, probably our brains would explode.
Yeah, maybe. It's also, we are so used to look at everything in this very linear sense. And so when you look at these two charts, it's very linear. Okay, one is in this sense more star form, and the other one is more like outlining, but when you look at another pair, it can suddenly look like this. You have something very different. It more looks like a crystal, with a basis here, and then you have you strike out, right? You expand. You have your basis, and your roots, but you can spark out because you feel safe.
I love that. Can you show us some more patterns? Have you got some more that you could show us?
I don't have more with me now, but sorry for that. But
people can reach out to you and they can find this, because there is a lot on your website, and as well, again, links will be below if anyone's joining us. So is this? You haven't answered my question. How did you come to be so fascinated in the study of astrology through the planetary pairs, the cycles, and the patterns?
I think because I look at these patterns or at everything in a in a type of like a process. And so I thought, okay, I mean, when we look at our usual 12 sign thing, that it's not that it is wrong or anything like that. It's just we limit it there, because when you suddenly you start to see more, and then I have to look at it from the center, and then you have whatever, and it just expands. You go out there, right? And because you look at it from the center, and you are not so limited anymore, and it suddenly it expands more and more, because you are part of the process. When you actually do it, you are part of the process.
And do you meditate this through to, what has actually helped to really grow, or is it through study, or is it, so if someone was starting out and they were like, well, I'm really confused, and then they were like, can help me, but I don't know how, and I don't know how to start.
It was the how to say, it's more like it's part of the whole process. It's not that I felt the decision that I want to do that. It was naturally growing. And then when you go somewhere, you may notice something, and then what is this? Why does this point? And then you go around your usual stuff, and then one day you suddenly realize, or you get your answer, and then it's and so you have to go and follow that up. And so it is in itself a meditation, or in itself it is this communication, because that's what it is, right? It is the whole universe communicates through the patterns and the stars and the planets and so on. And when you do this work in this sense, it is you act with these patterns. You kind of download them.
Back to the big screen, unless you're going to show, because it's just nice for people to see your beautiful face.
Oh, thank you, and sorry.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to ask you, so because this is important for anyone who might be listening, how do you think that galactic astrology can help people in today? How would you encourage people to and accelerate their own learning?
I think that the benefit for people is that when you start to expand on Earth with the earthly view, that you reach a point where you get and you have to go further. It's like when you think about the Russian doll principle. You have outgrown one part, and then you have to go to the next. Like a baby becomes a toddler, and at one point a teenager, and you may become an adult, and so on and so on. So you expand, you go on, and so you have done one thing, and then you have to jump to the next. And there you start studying again. You are on the low, and then you have to, and things grow, and it helps with that next, to make a next.
And also, do you agree that above us, the galaxy is like a bigger, if you're talking the Russian doll, we're down here, and then you go up, and you go up to the Milky Way, and then you go out of that, and you go into Andromeda. Like there are these like layers and layers, and the being and the beings just continue to increase and increase, which is why we can never get to the end of this thing called space.
I mean, in between you also have the solar system, and you on one side, that seed is growing, and then you become the solar system, or the sun first, and then the whole solar system, and then you expand, but at one point you also bring it back home.
bring it back home by
and integrating it. Yeah, it's not only to go to look outside there, but to bring it back in and look within. So it's this constant back and forth. Yeah, it's all.
We have challenges. We're so busy and distracted, and we've got these screens permanently attached to our faces. Like that message, you know, if you get into the galaxy, it can be so massive, but your message is you come back, you integrate, you appreciate, you're expanding and learning and evolving.
And with that, when you understand and when you see the manifestation of it, yeah, whatever it is, on whatever level, on whatever theme, and then you also integrate it in a way so it seeds already the net.
I really love that. It's a very deep kōrero. That's what happens when you get together with a galactic astrologer. They're always so deep. So, Fran, best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to deepen their own learning and exploration, I'm really going to encourage you to do that if you stuck with us to this point. What's the best way for people to find you?
I think the best way is on my website, fireempowerment.com. Thank you. There is everything. I also have a shop page. So I have written some papers or PDF books or however you want to call it. And also some subscription basis. So, but I also am on Facebook. I have a page there, but there are everywhere on my site. And so you can go from there. It's easy.
And you also do readings, because I was very lucky to have some of your time and a little bit. I really appreciate it. So if you're interested in finding out about your helio patterns and galactic astrology, you can have a reading with Fran. And I think that brings us to the end of this. Would you like to close, Fran? Just anything that comes top of mind, and to close off and seal this beautiful little capsule of celestial inspiration.
Yeah, thank you very much, Carmelle, also for your openness, because without the openness, there is nothing going to happen for anybody. So we have to be open for everything that comes, and some resonates and other resonates less. But without the openness, there can't be resonance. Yeah. And so we have resonated very quickly, and so that's why I was so lucky to be here, and I hope we will see more of each other.
I hope so too, and I hope for everyone who joined us, just want to say thanks for sticking around and listening, and we will see you next time. Ka kite. Bye. Bye for now.